also a republication of classics. Childhood and Youth by Tolstoy. A collection of short stories by Chekhov, the late stories in 2 volumes. Then this was not easy to get. Short stories by Maxim Gorky, who isn't really read nowadays, at least not in the German-speaking world. Master and Margarita by Bulgakov. Molière by Bulgakov. Short stories by Bulgakov. And Doctor Stories by Bulgakov. This was made into a TV series, which got me to read this book, because the TV series was so fucked up that I needed to read this. Okay, we are not done with the Russians. We are so not done. We got diaries by Prishvin during the Russian Revolution, 1917 till 1920. We got one of my favorite books of all time, The Foundation Pit by Platonov, with a very beautiful cover. All short stories by Isaac Babel, which is one of those new translations, and Isaac Babel, you didn't really got a hold of one of his stories, so they published all of them in this beautiful book. But it's also really, really expensive. Then this is a print on demand, that's why it's so ugly. We by Samyatin. Also not easy to get, Solzhenitsyn's Cancer Ward. I heard that Philip Roth was inspired by this book for Everyman, so that was really interesting to hear, because it's one of the few books that deals with disease and the situation of having a disease. This, and of course The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. Then First Circle by Solzhenitsyn, In the First Circle, maybe. Also a very, very massive fellow. The first volume of the Archipel Gulag, Gulag Archipelago from Solzhenitsyn. I read this, liked it, and then I found something else which was way better and way more exciting and way more in my what I liked, in my liking. And this is that, Varlam Shalamov, Tales from Kolyma. I think he was imprisoned 3 times, and he went to the far east of Russia, to the worst place, and survived it. And he read short stories, and he picked a fight with Solzhenitsyn in a letter exchange, because he told them that you couldn't tell the story of being in the Gulag with a great novel and sort of a realistic writing style. You have to make sort of like impressionistic style. You can't, the reality breaks when you're at such a place. And these stories are really, really some of the best that I read. Some of them are better than Chekhov stories. Of course, they're all about the Gulag in some way or another. But they're really good. 2 more volumes of these short stories. I think they are 6 in total, and the 5th one is a novel, which he called an anti-novel. So, yeah. Wassily Grossman, Fate, Life and Fate. You know, I like big books, and this is also one of them. This is about the invasion of the Soviet Union by Hitler. It's a family novel, sort of like War and Peace, with many characters. And it's supposed to be a classic in Russia. So, yeah, I need to check it out. This one is rather odd. Bruno Jasienski, a man changes his skin, or a human changes his skin. Don't really know if this is worth, and if this is if you can read this or not. But yeah, let's see. The plot of the story interested me, so I got it. Oh my god, my shelf is way too cluttered. Okay. Nabokov, Lucian's Defense, Lolita, one of the best written books of all time. If you want to read Lolita, don't care about the controversy, just read it and form your own opinion. The Gift, I heard somewhere that this book was his most beloved in Russia because it didn't, because the plot isn't based in America but in Berlin. So yeah, and it was written in Russian. Then Pnin, very funny, very heartbreaking. For me, it was very heartbreaking. Pale Fire by Nabokov. Massive books. Ada. And Speak Memory, the autobiography. Then a newer Russian novel, The Conquest of Ismail, Mikhail Shishkin. I read only halfway through or something like that, but it's really, really great. It's about a lawyer, and there are sort of mythological themes and the story of the Russian territory and beyond. It's something. Then Ukrainian, Yuri Andrukhovich, The Favorites of Justice, maybe in English. These are short stories about murderers, thieves, generals, army men, all of the bad people. And an old edition of Lolita. Okay, I need to get some room. Some space. We are almost done, I promise. Americans, Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Please go in. So, Moby Dick. So beautifully written. I can tell even by the translation. Soldier's Pay by Faulkner. I just got this recently. This is an edition from 1958 or something. Yeah. This was his first novel. I heard about this in a video about New Orleans bookstores. Shout out. I linked the video below. And one of the bookstores said that Soldier's Pay was written in the same building. So I found this and was really excited because I knew what it was. Absalom Absalom in a new translation. I haven't read Absalom Absalom, but I have read Sound and the Fury, and this is one of my favorite 20th century books. It's experimental in a different way than Ulysses. It's way more condensed and way more strict, but as it says here, it's a classic of world literature. Yeah, you have to read Sound of the Fury in some way or another once in your lifetime. Okay, it starts to get a little tricky once again. James Salter, a game and a pastime, I think this is called. Yeah, a sport and a pastime, yeah. I heard good things about Salter. I haven't read him yet, but I think I will like him because of another offer, and we get to him shortly. The Hunters by James Salter, his debut novel. I mean, let's hear this. Salter is at least as good as Philip Roth. He's better than Updike. He is on one foot with Richard Ford. So, okay. The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, one of the newer novels in my collection. Arturo Bandini, these are the books that we got to in the English section, but in a German translation. And another Fante that I haven't got in English. 1933 was a bad year. And this one really got me hooked on Fante. This is something special. Salinger short stories. 3 of the very, very early ones. And they're really good. Oh, the quote is from Harold Brodkey. Okay. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Ugly cover, but at least it's Grapes of Wrath, right? East of Eden by Steinbeck. Lucia Berlin short stories. In Cold Blood by Capote. New Yorker stories or short stories by Dorothy Parker. The Great Gatsby by Fitzgerald. And Late short stories by Fitzgerald. It's a very thick book. But his short stories, I didn't really enjoy The Great Gatsby, but his short stories, at least the couple ones in this collection that I read, are much better. They are really impressive. How he deals with relationships, and it's a bit like Carver, but in a more sophisticated style, with more words in the sentence, you know. Speaking about a small amount of words in language, Hemingway, this is called Farewell to Arms in German, in English, yeah. Snow on the Kilimanjaro by Hemingway. These are all new translations, that's where they are hardcovers. It's a funny story with translations of Hemingway, because there was an old translator who was a lover of him, and she wouldn't give the rights away, so the publisher had to wait until she died so they could retranslate, because the old translations weren't very good, but he liked them, so they were never changed until she died. Old Man and the Sea, Feast for Life, Feast of Life, the Paris novel. That's why it's called Paris on the front. A movable feast. I'm so sorry. A movable feast. Is this called Fiesta? Don't think so. The Sun Also Rises. The Sun Also Rises. Then we'll get to the Bukowski books. Post Office. Ham on Rye. Factotum. Yes, Factotum. Hollywood. Fuck Machine. Damaged in Hollywood. Oh no, this is a selection from a different short story collection. It's a part of a short story collection. Erections, ejaculations, exhibitions, you know, Bukowski stuff. Another short story collection. A novel, which he writes about the movie, I think. Shakespeare never did this. Records of a Dirty Old Man. More Records of a Dirty Old Man. Short stories and essays. The cover art is from Robert Crumb, if you couldn't tell. And more short stories and essays. And now we come to one of my favorite American writers of all time, but I don't have enough space, so I have to experiment a little. Yeah, okay. This may take a while. Okay. Philip Roth. This is from latest to oldest because I want to read the books on top. But I have read, I think, no, almost all of them. The Facts, Nemesis, Indignation, Every Man, The Plot Against America. What wasn't there a swastika on the English version? I think they can't put the swastika because of the law. Ridiculous. The Dying Animal, The Human Stain. You know, one of the greatest novels of the 20th century. I Married a Communist. American Pastoral. This is the cover they made for the movie. Terrible movie, but almost perfect book. Then I haven't read this one, Sabbath's Theater, but I want to. I keep this for a later time. I want to read this when I'm ready, because I know this will probably be my favorite. So yeah, I keep it for the best of times, the worst of times. Anatomy Lesson. Portnoy's Complaint. You know, if you're in puberty, you can either read all of Bukowski or you can just read this one. It's equally good in content and less life lessons. and Goodbye Columbus. So, this was the first bookshelf. Next time we move to this one. Okay, see ya.